can Trump's plan truly end the war if Netanyahu's coalition still demands Hamas's total annihilation?
First of all, good morning. Thank you very much for having me, and greetings to yourself and to your guests, of course. So to answer your question, in principle, yes, it can end the war, but that very much is tied to the commitment of all parties to commit to this plan, which President Trump offered. As we know, this plan requires both parties to collaborate together on the phases, especially when it comes to the first phase, which has to do with releasing all the hostages, followed by, of course, Israel's commitment not to start or resume offensive actions against the Palestinians in Gaza. There seems to be very much positive signs from the negotiations so far regarding this first phase of ending the war, but of course, complications exist in the following phase. And this is why, in my opinion, as I mentioned, it very much relates to the commitment of all parties. If Hamas commits to disarming itself, as President Trump mentions in his plan, and as it has been agreed on by the Arab partners who worked with President Trump on this plan, and if the Israelis on their side commit to withdrawing from Gaza, even if it's like the phased withdrawal as explained in President Trump's plan, if those two conditions exist, the commitment to disarming itself by Hamas and the Israeli army withdrawal during the timeline which they are going to agree on in Egypt today, that is going to guarantee the success of President Trump's plan. So President Trump's plan is a framework, but the success of that plan depends very much on how the parties are going to be working together on the ground.
Mm-hmm. Mr. Netcher, after now 2 years of trauma, is this seen as the light at the end of the tunnel? Will this deal bring peace, or is it just a quieter form of siege?
We can't talk about any kind of peace under occupation and under the Israeli procedures on the Palestinian, on Gaza Strip and the West Bank both. We can talk about any kind of peace with Netanyahu insisting that there will not be any chance for a Palestinian state in any stage or in any period of this agreement or other agreements. We are still talking about a party that really believe that they want to put control over the Palestinian lands and the Palestinian people, and they didn't recognize their right as people to exist or their right to have their independent state. So we can't call it peace. Maybe it's a response for the war for a while. Maybe we can talk about ceasefire, but we are not talking about peace process in this stage. And even ceasefire still seems very far from what we call it a framework that or initiative that Trump put on the table without any details, without any time frame, without any commitment to this plan or any conditions that can put some pressure or push on the Israeli side to commit to its part of this agreement, as we witnessed in the beginning of this year in January that Israel started with the first period or first stage of the agreement, and then they return to the attacks and the bombing of the Gazian people twice or three times more than it was before, and they make the siege more and more tight on the Gazan people, so people start to die from starvation through that. So we can't trust even the Israeli part or the American part to be really commitment to this framework or really to work on it on stages. And we have a lot of suspicions that Netanyahu, as he did several times before, will take the advantages of this agreement. And after the first stage of this agreement, he will return back for attacking people in Gaza, because as he say, his main goal is to decrease or to make the population of Gaza less than 1 million. That means that he must take away 1 million people by killing them or by transferring them, and both. So killing, continuing in killing people or transferring people is unacceptable for the Palestinian, as well as ignoring our right of having our independent state and having Gaza as a part of this Palestinian future state.
Mhm.